Hello. In this video, I'm speaking about the consumer value framework, and from its title, it is about what the consumer value and how we understand where the value is coming from, how they decide what to perceive as valuable for them and what's not, what influence this decision. So this is really important and significant for marketers and businesses to enhance customer satisfaction, optimize their marketing strategies, and build their brand loyalty. This model and framework explains the factors that are influencing our decision what to perceive as of value to us in including ourselves, the inner self, our judgments, and the society around us. So that would be quite comprehensive. Let's have a look at this. You can see here there are a lot of influencers. The main issue in the middle, at the heart of it all, is the value that the consumer believe are getting from our offer, whether utilitarian value, and that means something more functional, rational, that gives you hopefully long-term satisfaction, but solve a problem, for example. And the hedonic value, that is short-lived pleasure or joy that we could get from whatever offering service or a product, like going to a restaurant and eating delicious food and enjoying an evening with friends. So it's all around this consumption experience, the experience of consuming the offering that we are proposing to the consumer. Now there is the consumption process first that lead us to the consumption. And remember, we talked about the consumer product acquisition process that leads to this consumption process. So from motive development, gathering information, evaluating options and propositions, to selecting, acquiring, and then re-evaluating. Now there is a consumption here. There is a consumption of the data and information the company share, the brand, the marketing, and the presentation of the offering. And then there's the consumption experience of the buying process itself and the payment for it, whether something needs installment, etc., or just dressing the dress, wearing the dress. So all of that give us experiences, and then we react to that, and we might rethink and we might reevaluate. That hopefully build a long-term relationship with the organization that is a positive one, a relationship of brand trust and brand loyalty. So we don't switch easily, we don't, but we share good feedback instead of negative feedback. We encourage and recommend others to buy it instead of putting the fear in their hearts from buying from us. We show commitment really, and then we advocate for the brand. And that's really important because we push the demand for it as consumers, and the brand will be in a great place. Then the brand keep seeking the demand from the consumers. So this is the middle of the framework. But then what's before and after? What's behind all of that? What's behind the need and the want and the perception of value through the consumption experience? Now there are the internal influences that comes from our nature. So our learning, what we learned through experiences. And learning in psychology is about change of behavior due to experiences and information and knowledge and practice. What did we learn that changed our behaviors, our opinions? What did we experience and the knowledge we received that built up specific perceptions about what's good, what's bad, what's useful, what's valuable? What are the memories that we had, implicit and explicit memories, that subconscious or conscious, that we recall from previous experiences that tell us what value is? For example, the speed that the food should come during our wait in the restaurant. And then the categorization of all these informations, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the no, and the welcome values, and the attitudes that we have towards things. So, for example, you know, no way I'm going to eat that food, or no way that I'm going to go to a lecture on math, or so we do have attitude built on previous experiences too, and maybe on beliefs or on values, moral values. And then there is the personality of the consumer and where the psychology comes. So what motivates you, stimulate your motivation, your triggers. What are the real values for you from your culture? From you're really strong about fairness, freedom, autonomy, responsibility, fair trade, environment. What is it? Your personality, extrovert, introvert, outgoing, your lifestyle, athletic, active or not, your love's comfort, your emotional expressions. And of course, there are theories that tell you several traits for personality and categorization, etc. But which is very helpful during segmentation and targeting in marketing strategies. As we will talk in the future about that. But be wary from putting people in boxes because they can surprise you. Of course, emotional expressions and our awareness of them, and how do we react to things, how do we feel about them, and how do we manage these emotions, our emotional intelligence. So as a human being, how we developed and evolved to value things. But there is also society. We don't live in a vacuum, and the market is part of the society. It's a social process. Remember when we talked about what is marketing? So the external influences plays a huge role. And if I am coming to a space where I am not the global majority, but a minority in that space, then I might do acculturation by picking up the culture that I am getting into and just adopting it completely and changing my behaviors and my culture, or go with enculturation, which is another very important concept where we simply adopt what's necessary and important from the new culture to get along with everyone and do things normally among them without altering our personal culture. Of course, there is the interaction between cultures and cultural values between these communities in one place, and London is one of the cities that is an example of that. And there are the reference groups, those friends, colleagues, people we look up to. There are influences, there are family influencers within our small family. There are differences in cultures such as social class, education, etc. So culture has a lot of elements that influence us. But that's not all. Now we're in the digital age. We have those influencers that we don't know them directly, but we watch them online and we might respect their opinions or get influenced by it. There are the ads, and there is artificial intelligence recommendations that they could make for us when we ask them. There is social media and all the talks they talk about different brands and experiences. There are the reviewers, those review online, and we look at that. And there are the storytellers who tell plenty of stories from the brand and from the fans and from those against it. So as you can see, there's a lot of noise here, and it all can influence the decision based on the information that we process and then filter into our brain based on our perceptions and experiences at what we learned before. That might influence our decisions. There's also the situational element, so the environment, the atmosphere, the weather, for example, the time is Christmas, so we buy more. The weather is cold, so we need something to warm us. All these conditions of the environment around us will also influence. There is prosperity in the economy, so we end up spending more. Let's hope for that pretty soon. So it's really very useful framework, and it's quite comprehensive, not easy to study, but it can really help businesses and marketers understand their consumers and what they value, so they can segment them better, they can target the right consumers, and they can constantly follow the trends and the changes within their consumers, so they adapt as a business and evolve with them to make sure that they always give them the value they expect and the experience they deserve, and they deserve it. Considering, of course, the online and offline complexity and the influential sources and information all over the place, then in addition to, we have to take these into consideration when we think about what influences the decisions and be open-minded about it. So it's a complicated picture, but it's a real one, and we can navigate through as much as possible to understand our customers. I hope that was useful. Let me know any experiences you had as consumer or as a marketer in the comments, and I'll see you in the next